Hello, friends. I just wanted to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to come. I wanted to share something with you guys real quick, just do a fast video here, and hopefully it may be of some help to some of you all for the new year or for any time. The other day I was writing in my journal, and I started to think about a few things, and I write these things down. It's in the form of a story, but this story directly applies to me and my personal life, and hopefully, like I said, it can be of some help to you all if you're struggling with some hard times during this holiday season. I know a lot of us do, and I've got struggles of my own, of course, my afflictions that I deal with, which I used to be ashamed of, but no longer am, because I try to use my affliction to my advantage to help other people. So if you'll allow me to share this, for those of you interested in watching, I'll go ahead and read what I wrote. I typed it out because I can't read my handwriting. So I'll read this off to you. It starts off, our year of 2020, a very strange and difficult year it's been. And like many years, there have of course been some very good times filled with moments of laughter and joy, but also some extremely hard lessons for us and for me to learn during these last 12 months. My own personal battles to fight, trying to figure out the most effective strategies to use against the afflictions that have done their absolute best to beat me down time and time again. Some of the strategies have proven to be effective to some degree, even if for short periods of time, and I've done my best to document all of these that have seemed to work for me and use them to the best of my ability. However, most unfortunately, these things have failed multiple times, not only throughout this past year, but in the past 5 years. This was around the time that Satan tempted me to the highest and most extreme forms and found multiple ways to slip through the cracks of my weaknesses. He sent this demon, alcohol, my kryptonite, my poison, and the small amounts of poison that deceived me into first believing that I could escape, even for a short while, into some alternate reality. The deception that this poison was to help me achieve my goals to a much higher degree, and to work more efficiently, to become more sociable, to learn a new language, to become just a better, more productive human being, to become stronger, to become more creative, to achieve a higher state of the physical, mental, and spiritual being who I am, to become, not with intent, but to become a god of my own empire. So time slowly passed, and after a short while, somewhere around the year of 2015, this god started to become very tired and weary. This god was losing power and losing control, losing the empire that Ryan Heron had tried to develop. I slowly started to lose my armor. Then I lost my shield, and soon after I lost my sword for protection. I did this not because I wanted to give up, but for the simple reason that the road started to become easy. The battlefield was empty. There were no more enemies. I lost my place here. So I lost my armor, I lost my shield, I lost my sword for protection. And I did this not because I wanted to give up. But like I said, the road became easy. So I could see the sun just over the horizon, and I truly believed that these long nights of battles had finally come to an end. And it seemed without notice while traveling down this easy road. Sorry about that. So it seemed without notice while traveling down this easy road, I was suddenly stabbed from behind with a very sharp, double-edged sword. Alcohol, the demon who I started to believe was my true and sincere friend, was actually the enemy who is now thrusting the sword right into my back. Time and time again, I would get back up to my feet, but only for very short periods of time, only to fall back down again. Then eventually the enemy had beaten me down to the absolute worst form of helplessness. The poison that I first believed was helping me was now literally crippling me into an utter state of helplessness. The long nights of fast learning and desire, the long nights of euphoria, the long nights of creativity had quickly turned into long days of despair, depression, and deception. The despair was my sickness, my lies, multiple hospitalizations, jails, institutions, legal battles. The deception, this was the demon whispering into my ear, telling me and convincing me that if I indulged in more alcohol, I would eventually regain my power and make it through. The deception that said, hey Ryan, you don't need your heavy armor or sword. You don't need that shield. Those things will only weigh you down. Ryan, if you just run faster towards that rising sun over the horizon, you'll soon make it. To my surprise, I never did. The sun had finally risen, and as I lay on my back looking up at it high overhead, I could, no matter how hard I tried, I could no longer make it back up to my feet again. This demon, Satan, his army, and addiction had me beaten down and intended to keep me down and defenseless, confused, exhausted, and thirsty beyond all measure. The sun started to set, and the cold darkness slowly moved in. My battles, my 5-year empire in the making, had finally crumbled down to the dust of the earth beneath my back. And out of sheer desperation, I cried out to help into the empty, vast darkness. No one answered. I cried out again, and I kept crying out, and eventually God answered. He lifted me back up to my feet, and though I was weak and could barely walk, I finally had hope once again. So I walked. I walked short distances, and then I fell back down to my knees again, then back down to the ground, laying on my back. Multiple times this happened, and with each time I would cry back out to God, and He would help me back up to my feet. Then again, I would feel that sharp sword that would stab me in the back, piercing directly through to my heart. I prayed, time and time again, crying out, and with each tear and drop of blood, God would lift me back to my weakened legs, and the sun would rise and set again, and the dark would surround me. Then, somewhere near the end of this year, 2020, in tears, in confusion, in total desperation, one last prayer. God, I cried out, if you can do all things, why can't you carry me to that beautiful sun rising overhead over the horizon? If you're all powerful, why can't you take this affliction away from me and destroy this demon that continues to haunt and destroy me? So as I knelt outside on my deck in my backyard, staring out at the distant mountains, blurred from tears, a very soft voice spoke to me. Now, a lot of people say God speaks to you. I've never actually audibly heard the voice of God, but as I prayed out, I felt God speak to me. So, basically, Yeah. So I asked, I said, why can't you take this affliction away from me? If you can raise Lazarus from the dead, if you can heal the blind, the sick, if you can walk on water, take this away. So suddenly the voice of God spoke to me and said, Ryan, I have picked you up so many times. I've brought you back to your feet. I've helped you destroy your enemies, and I've tried so hard to help you through your battles. You've cried out to me so many times, and I've always listened. I have and I will always listen to your cries. I've done so many things for you when you've asked, but you have not listened to what I've instructed you to do. I've told you over 5 years ago that your way was not the true way. I told you that rising sun that you would always see every time you laid on your back in helplessness, I tried to tell you that this was a representation of my only Son, who I sent for you, to love and to teach you how to live and to teach you how to love others, to die for you and then rise again. And my Son, Jesus Christ, has risen and has instructed you to pick up your armor, pick up your shield, and pick up your sword. Every single day, you have to wear this armor and never drop your shield and your sword. And it may not always be easy, and these things may seem very heavy to carry at times. But each time you feel the weight of these things, I want you to think about the weight of the cross that my Son Jesus carried for you. The road ahead may become easy at times throughout your journey, but I command you to hold tight to your shield, because if you don't, I assure you that when you least expect it, your enemies will strike you down once again. So you keep walking towards His Son, towards my Son, and I know for a fact that you'll make it, and I'm with you always. 2020, the year of the pandemic, world protest, riots in the streets all around the planet, mass confusion, media influence, sadness, sickness, death. Regardless of all these things in our own ages of darkness throughout our lives, through our own afflictions, addictions, sadness, sicknesses, we must stay in prayer always. As Paul taught, pray without ceasing. That awareness at all times that God is with us, and to pray to God continually. And spending time with God, asking Him for what we need and for the needs of other people. And never forget to thank Him for all of our blessings. Don't lose focus, and never, I repeat, never give up. Keep the faith, because eventually the sun will rise again to new and brighter days. And if we keep our faith in Christ Jesus, if we keep walking, keep believing, and keep trusting, then one day at the end of our journey, we will touch the sun and see the face of God. So I write these things, my friends, in hopes and prayers that it may, as I said, help someone else out there who can learn from a sinner like me. A sinner who absolutely refuses to give up and who will eventually reach my goals and dreams in this life. And in the end of the journey, for all of us to reach our dreams and our goals and to spend the rest of our lives in eternity with God and our loved ones. So again, Merry Christmas to all, and I send all of my prayers and blessings to each and every one of you. So take care, and God bless.